Hi, good morning. My name's Angie Aragon, and I am here to do the presentation on becoming a tandem instructor. So why am I here? I was brought out from the US. I'm a USPA and UPT tandem instructor, examiner. I've been skydiving since 2006. In fact, I'm gonna have my 15-year skydiving birthday here in a few weeks. So I've been a tandem and AFF instructor since 2011, and I work primarily at Skydive Paris in California and Skydive Chicago in Illinois. But I also travel around the world and mostly throughout the United States doing examiner courses. That's my primary job. I've got about 7,000 skydives. About 4,500 of those are tandem. And I've been fortunate enough to work as a tandem instructor in all parts of the world. So that's really one of the bonuses, I think, of being a tandem instructor. I've also got approximately 1,100 AFF jumps and about 800 video jumps. And so I was working as a professional skydiver since 2011, basically. On the examiner side of things, I've been a tandem examiner since 2017, and I've taught approximately 75 candidates in that time frame, so over the course of 3 to 4 years. About 30 courses total, and of that, 66% have been male, and approximately 33% have been female. So I've got quite a variety of experience with regards to working with, men that have a high stature, men that have a small stature, and females as well. What I have noticed is across the board that there's about an 85% pass rate when it comes to the candidates that signed up and those that actually graduated from the course. So I'll go through some of the specifics on that. I worked with the Women's Skydiving Leadership Network, which was a focus on promoting tandem courses to women in the United States. So this was a video that we put together, and I'm just going to share it with you because it's pretty neat, good quality video.
My passion is taking somebody out on their first skydive, and I get to be there with them and experience the roller coaster of emotions and adrenaline and everything that they go through, and it kind of bleeds onto me, and that's what drives me to continue to do tandems and to do them as long as I possibly can.
Welcome to my world. Oh my God, that was awesome!
Working as a tandem instructor is one of the most rewarding things that you can do because, you can travel, you can introduce the sport to the general public, people who would never otherwise be able to experience what we do. So it's a very beautiful thing.
Amazing.
Heck yeah. Do you have a favorite part, or was it just all awesome?
Thing.
All incredible?
The whole thing was incredible.
Heck yeah. So, ultimate question. Would you do it again?
Absolutely.
Would you do it again with Jesse?
Absolutely.
Heck yeah,
my new
Rick.
best friend right here.
Woo.
It's awesome. It's awesome sharing it with someone for the first time. I mean, I remember my first tandem and I said, wow, do girls have this job? Because I want to do this every day. Like, how awesome is this? And the answer is yeah. If you're a female tandem instructor, you're that first look into skydiving. You're that first kind of like push into getting this person out of a plane and then seeing that person come into the sport of skydiving. And a lot of females out there don't think that they can do something like this. And so having a female tandem instructor as their first one is kind of, it's like, well, this chick is throwing me out of a plane. Like, she's badass. And I'm going to do this, and I want to be that person.
She did so great. Yeah, very surreal, like out-of-body experience.
Awesome.
I'm so proud of you.
So, ultimate question, you gonna do it again?
hands down.
Awesome.
Like, let's go round 2.
That's what I like to hear. Awesome job.
When I decided to pursue becoming a tandem instructor, there were people out there that were naysayers that wanted to kind of, tell me I couldn't do it or say that I don't belong because I'm a girl or any, stuff like that. But for every naysayer, I've got, a dozen cheerleaders on the other side within the community that were really pushing me up and telling me, yeah, go for it, and we want you to succeed.
I was surprised at how simple everything was. It really comes down to flying yourself, not worrying about the student, and really just learning the technique more than just the strength.
5'2.5", thank you very much. And I like to say I might be small, but I'm fierce. My biggest student was 6'7", around 230. So he had a good 100 pounds and a good solid 1.5 feet on me. And he was a corn-fed young boy. And I said, as I'm harnessing him, I'm like, you look like you can squat 185 pounds. And he was like, oh yeah, no problem, all day. I can do more than that. So we were lucky enough to get to jump out of a tailgate sky van that day. And I said, all right, perfect, because you're going to walk us out the back. Trained him up. He lifted us up. No big deal. I got to dangle my legs on the back of him. And he's like, just walk off. I said, yep, just walk off. One of the most perfect gainer exits that I've ever executed out of a sky van. It was awesome.
I would encourage anyone who wants to get their tandem rating to pursue it. Give it a try and see if it's something that works for you. It might not be. It's not for everyone. However, you wouldn't know until you actually try.
Do it, do it, do it. The only thing that I would say if you're wanting to get your tandem rating is don't be afraid to walk away if it's not for you. Go into your tandem course knowing that that might be an option, but that you can totally do it if you put your heart to it.
It seems like it's like up here and it's really hard to do, but it's not unattainable for anybody. Like females, they might think, well, there are these big guys that are taking on all this weight and I need to be like this big and this strong to do it. And that's just not the truth. We have the same physical capabilities to take somebody on an amazing adventure in the sky. And I think the more we have females really going after this goal, it's going to benefit the sport of skydiving in ways that are immeasurable.
All right. So this is a program that we ran for 2 years in the United States, and so it's 2018, 2019. We had a total of 24 scholarships granted to a variety of women. In 2018, there's 12 scholarships granted. 6 of those that graduated the course are still practicing tandem instructors. In 2019, the scholarship granted, again, 12 grants. 9 of those instructors are still practicing. And across the board, it was an 85% pass rate. So it's the same as male and female courses in general, just 85%. Why some of these individuals aren't practicing, I also think that this is across the board going to be equivalent to men and female, in that once you get your rating, there's a huge learning curve that happens. And so I see that when people or graduates, new tandem instructors go to different drop zones, they either have the support to continue in it or decide that maybe it's too risky too risky for them to continue, just because the learning curve at the beginning is quite steep. So some of the reasons that people leave tandem instructing. Wanted to give you guys some stats. In the 2021 membership for the USPA right now stands at 39,506 skydivers. Of that, females make up 13.8%, so about 14%, and that's been consistent for the last 10 years or so. Approximately 5,480 are female. Female tandem instructors that are members of the USPA worldwide is 149 as of a few days ago, and in the United States it's 101. And mind you, those are USPA rated tandem instructors, not all tandem instructors. So one of the things, and part of the reason for the program was in order for us to promote females within the sport and leadership roles, because when women walk into or onto a drop zone, whether it's to do a tandem or because they're interested in skydiving, if they see other women around, they're going to be encouraged to also try to become skydivers themselves, or have feel that they'll have the support as they move along as new skydivers and that. So that was the whole reason for the scholarship program, is to promote leadership within the sport. Okay, so why tandem? Why do you want to become a tandem instructor? Well, a lot of it was what they were talking about in the video, but having the opportunity to share the experience, share what we love and our passion with the general public or people that would not otherwise be skydiving, and being able to share that experience and have them learn from it, appreciate it, and then leave here. And if they decide never to do a tandem again, but that at least or become a skydiver, they've at least tried it. They've had a taste of what it is that we do, and we love it so much that sharing that is just really, like I said, is a beautiful thing. You get to travel all over the world. As a tandem instructor, you can, once you get to a certain experience level, I like to say about 1,000 tandems, experience-wise, you can basically travel all over the world. You can get hired by different companies, different countries, jump a variety of different airplanes. The experiences are just, it opens up so many doors to be able to have a job that you can do anywhere in the world. So that's really neat. One of the things that's important to also mention here on this slide is because the responsibilities that you take on when you become a tandem instructor are quite significant, right? So you're going to be now responsible for someone else's life, not just your own. And so you're responsible for someone's son, daughter, mother, grandmother, So it is a serious responsibility that's to be taken. I want to say it is a job, right? So you treat it like a job. You show up on time. You make sure that you're up to date on all your emergency procedures. This is something to be taken seriously. So the responsibilities are important for you to acknowledge. So what I wanted to go over is some of the most common questions I get asked by people that are interested in becoming tandem instructors. The first one is, how strong do I need to be to flare a tandem? Most common question, by hands down. What I like to say is, you don't just need the upper body or arm strength to flare a tandem. Working as a tandem instructor, you need full body strength. You need strength from top to bottom. So preparing to become a tandem instructor takes a dedication of time going to the gym, working on specific muscle groups, core exercises, variety of core exercises, lat down pulls, push-ups, pull-ups, rowing, weighted squats, those kinds of things. You need to have full body work strength. And that's because from the moment you harness your student, pick up the equipment, go on the jump, land in the airplane, land after the jump and pick up everything, bring it back to the hangar. During that entire experience, you're working every part of every muscle group, right? So you want to have full body strength. With that being said, there are techniques that can be used to compensate for some of the strengths, right? So that means that you can become very proficient in certain techniques that will get you over the hump when it comes to using just sheer strength. When I talk about techniques, this is a real simple one. When I started doing tandems, the line groups, and trying to grab a hold of all the entire parachute and the lines in my hand was really challenging for me, right? So then I'd walk in with my hand, it'd be kind of messy and sloppy, and so what I decided to do is do these really big daisy chains and like wedge my the rig kind of kind of close up top, and then the way I grabbed it and put it over my shoulder, I was basically holding it, and the weight was being distributed, and I wasn't having to hold it in my hand. I wasn't having to carry everything. So things like that, shortcuts like that, will conserve energy and then just make you efficient, really. What I recommend for people who are interested in working out and trying to train and prepare for a tandem course is doing exercise with 60 pounds of weight, which is comparable to the tandem rig. So whatever the tandem rig weight is, add another 10 pounds and then be able to do all of these exercises with that amount of weight as a starting point. When I have new instructors or candidates going through the course, regardless of their size and physique, one thing that I always hear is complaints about muscle soreness. So it doesn't really matter what size, weight. Everyone still complains about muscle soreness. It's a new thing. You're going to use all kinds of different muscles, so you're just going to have to learn and get used to it and build that muscle. Okay, another question. What's the hardest part of what's the hardest part of the tandem instructor course? Realistically, gaining the confidence in your ability to handle all emergency situations and being aggressive enough to take control when needed. Tandem skydiving is not for you must be assertive. You have to take control. So having that type of personality where you're willing to stand up and do that and take control and take over all aspects of it is critically important. So I wanted to talk about the pass rate. So I said earlier that we've got about an 85% pass rate, which means there's a 15% drop rate. Whether that's individuals who have dropped themselves or been dropped by their examiner. And so if I go through the reasons for that, the main reason is inability to understand and run through emergency procedures correctly. So poor retention and recall skills. That's by far the biggest reason that people don't make it through the course, is not being able to go through the EPs. So if it's something that you're thinking about doing, memorizing, practicing, understanding your emergency procedures, that is key. Another reason is lack of flying skills, regardless of size, just not being current in the sky. I had an individual just last month and had done 150 wingsuit jumps prior to arriving to the course, which made it really hard for him on exit to do what we needed to do. His muscle memory was just not where it needed to be, and so we were having trouble with exits. So things like that, just being really current in the sky and also working on skills during your jumps that are going to help you to develop your skills as a tandem instructor. Another reason is their inability to control their own stress levels during the course. So during the course, you're going to go through a variety of emotions and stresses, and being able to control that in your own mind, be cool, calm, and as collected as possible to be able to stay situationally aware, which is big. There's a lot of moving parts. You don't have to get it all at once and be good at it all at once. You can build that skill, but you definitely have to be able to show your examiner that you can control yourself under stress. All right. What can I do in advance to prepare? All right, so have currency in the sky. Jump, jump, jump. There's nothing more important than just being comfortable in the sky, comfortable in free fall, comfortable in the airplane, all of those things. Tandem training programs can differ, and Kate and I have been talking a lot about the difference between the program here and the program that I run in the United States. And ultimately, regardless of the program, you still need to prepare basically the same way. Having camera flying skills is really good because you're chasing tandems, you're actually watching everything that's happening with regards to the tandem. That'll help you when it comes time for you to do your course. Also having your AFF rating, because when you have your AFF rating, instructor rating, you're communicating with a variety of different individuals. So being able to read the language of the individual you're talking to, whether or not they're understanding what you're saying, being able to present the information differently, all those good things, all things that we've been talking about here all day are really important. So also learn and memorize those tandem emergency procedures. There are shortcuts to memorizing them. So whatever works for you, whether it be flashcards or written tests or having someone just quiz you back and forth, there's a lot of ways to come into the course having already that knowledge as a fundamental, right? So you shouldn't wait until the tandem course starts to start learning your EPs. That's something that you should know when you start. Building entire body strength. We talked about that already. One thing I haven't touched on yet is choosing proper mentorship. Those first 50 skydives the learning curve is so steep. So having proper mentorship, someone that you can go to that's going to give you an opportunity to explain your experience, watch the videos of your skydives, and be able to debrief you on them, having that person or that team to support you is critically important in your development as a tandem instructor. So that's really important to choose a proper mentorship. And what goes along with proper mentorship is a drop zone with good safety culture for learning, so that you can start learning, right? So if the drop zone's culture is safety oriented, that means that that's going to trickle down all the way to you and your passenger, and it's going to make it available for you to be able to develop your skills in a safe manner, because like I said, that learning curve is steep at the beginning. So I wanted to show a video here. This is a video of an individual who's going on their second tandem. And so I want to show you a little bit of what she's experiencing on this jump. She weighs 120 pounds or 8.5 stones, 54, so 8.5 stones, right? That's good. I converted it. She's got about 900 jumps, is already an AFF instructor, had been for about a year. She dedicated strength training for about 5 to 6 months in preparation for the course. She's doing part of a 10 jump training progression program. And again, learning curve is really steep for those first 50 jumps. So I'm just gonna have you go ahead and watch this video, and I'll kind of talk through it. I don't know how much you guys can see, but the training goes setting up in the door, getting into position, and then having a good exit. Now I had to move the camera for safety reasons, just to not have it in her way on exit, but setting the drogue, checking the drogue, then doing the appropriate handles checks. Keep in mind, this is her second tandem, so she's not perfect, right? And in this case, what I wanted her to do is maintain a heading, and so I was trying to turn her, and what that forced her to do is just really get arms and legs extended into the relative wind, so that she could start to learn how to take control of the wind and fly her body. And as part of this, I can debrief her on the ground post the skydive, so that I can tell her how she can improve, right? So there she goes, deployment. Doing her canopy control check, and boom, there she is. Okay. All right, so one thing I want to make note too, and I put on here, learn from the good jumps. Like I said, the learning curve is steep at the beginning, and even throughout your entire career as a tandem instructor, a lot of people like to go and watch the negative things, so watch the bad videos. But I think it's equally as important, if not more important, to watch the good videos. The time that your setup was perfect, the time that your launch was exactly on time, where you put your hands in the door, how you set up for an exit, how you rolled out, how much effort was put forth, for example. So watching when everything was good tells you a lot about how you should continue to progress, right? So instead of watching all the bad videos, let's watch the good ones. And then we can understand what we did differently on the bad one. But first we need to know what we're doing correctly, right? So, so this is a video of a candidate of mine from 3 years ago now. And just wanted to give an account of her progression, and kind of backs up a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. So we'll go ahead and just play it.
First of all, I want to thank you for joining us on this Uncover Your Potential event. This is going to be taking place at Skydive Langer next weekend. And so first, let me introduce you to everyone. This is Amanda Elkin. Her and I worked together back in 2018 when she was a recipient of the Women's Skydiving Leadership Network Scholarship for tandem rating. So Amanda, it's been a while, since you got your rating. And
3 years.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, so I want you to kind of give us a little bit of information about you. First of all, your background, experience, number of tandem jumps you have so far.
Yeah, background experience, 2011, so 10 years ago, I started, went through my student program at a small drop zone in Iowa. We had a full-time caravan. Really my only goal when I was going through the class was I wanted to film tandems at the time. I liked the first reaction out of the plane, capturing that on camera. So I worked really hard to acquire some skills with video jumps. Did a lot of tunnel time, explored different disciplines, wingsuiting, free flying, all of that. But really I found in the last several years, I've got 3 different passions, one of which is working skydives. I love taking tandems, and I love filming tandems. Big wave skydiving, also women's events. As you know, Angie, we're about 14% of the sport. So it is nice when we get groups of women together and be able to make skydives. Yeah, I got my rating 3 years ago. The first year, because I was still filming some 4-way competition teams, I didn't get as many tandems as I wanted that first year. But I think I'm sitting, I didn't count last weekend's jumps yet, but I should be sitting around 250 tandems to date. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, those numbers start building up when you're showing up on the weekends and stuff. And
yeah, I started off doing a lot of filming tandems, and once I got my rating, it flip-flopped. So now I'm usually 8, 9 tandem jumps and maybe 1 or 2 video, but different experience being on the tandem side of things, and I absolutely love it. So originally my goal was to film. As I've progressed through the sport, I've certainly gone to like the tandem side just as much as filming.
Awesome. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about drop zone culture, just because, leaving a tandem course, I believe that one of the most important things that new instructors could do is find a place that's going to be supportive of a healthy progression as they start to develop their tandem skills. Can you tell me from your end how working at Skydive Chicago, how the drop zone culture contributed to your progression?
Yeah, I feel like I've been really lucky. The drop zone culture there, as you already know, huge safety culture. I'm lucky to know that as I've progressed within the sport, been fully supported by men, women, all around. But with that safety culture, as a new instructor, there were times where the winds might be a little bit, just, with my experience level with tandems that first year, just might have been a little outside my comfort zone. And so when I've walked up and mentioned that to anyone, it's been commended for being conservative and not pushing those boundaries. So the safety culture at Skydive Chicago is definitely one I love being part of, and that's why I drive 2.5 hours every weekend to be there each way.
Awesome. I want to talk a little bit about your mentors and the mentorship that you adopted kind of leaving the course, because that's also, I think, as important. Can you tell me how your mentors have contributed to your progression as well?
Yeah, another area I'm really lucky. My mentors, Skydive Chicago, but other drop zones that we go to as well. I mean, I started working with people that had thousands of tandems. Some of my mentors actually, thinking of two guys in particular, Skydive Chicago, who are actually shorter than me, and their wingspan is less than mine. And so to work with them and get tips just about flying with the student and flaring, just little tidbits I could pick up from them have been very, very helpful. I don't know. Again, I have been lucky because going in, it can be a little intimidating to start with all of these people that have thousands of tandems, and I'm coming in fresh, and the positive feedback and just little tidbits and tips I've gotten along the way has been awesome. So very lucky to have a really great attitude from the instructors.
Awesome. Okay, so I just want to talk about your profession. Now, you're not a full-time skydiver.
Nope. I work on locomotive software, so software on trains Monday through Friday.
Okay. Can you tell me some of the challenges that you face being a weekend tandem instructor and also seasonal, because you're a Skydive Chicago?
Yeah. I would say the negative is the drive. My drive about 2.5 hours each direction, usually Friday night, 2.5 hours, Sunday evening, 2.5 hours. So I would say the drive is the biggest con. The pros, I would say, with being part-time, especially part-time and seasonally, is that really I have weekends between April and October to go out and jump. And so when I go out, and actually my husband's a skydiver and tandem instructor as well, so at least the drive is split. One's usually driving, one's sleeping. I would say the pros are, when I'm there on the weekends, those are my times to jump. I only have a limited amount of weekends, and so when we're there, we're excited to jump. I feel like some of the benefits of being part-time is that we don't experience that burnout that some instructors can feel when they're full-time. I'm stoked to be out there on the weekends.
Last question. Can you give me a story or an example of like your most rewarding situation being a female tandem instructor?
Yeah. I mean, from a high level, it's rewarding to just, as every instructor probably knows, is getting that, you get to like relive your first jump through every tandem you take. I would say one of the most rewarding actually was last weekend. We had a group of women that, due to religious reasons, were only able to jump with a female. And so they had made several calls, and they drove almost 5 hours each way to be able to come out and jump with a female. So I find it very rewarding to be that female that they're coming out, and I get to give them that experience that they wouldn't be able to really get elsewhere.
Perfect. So. Yeah, that does feel really nice.
Yeah.
It's probably like my favorite part as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. And
yeah, you bet.
And I'll see you this weekend, or not this weekend, but the following.
See you following.
Okay. Bye.
Later. Bye-bye.
All right, so that's feedback from someone who has recently gone through the learning curve and is still actively very passionate about doing tandem. So now what I want to talk about is recommendations for progression. So once you get your tandem rating, what are the things that you need to keep an eye out for, right? So when you're going through your course, you're basically learning the basic skills of the job. And then once you get your rating, then you start taking live passengers, and the learning really starts to happen. So I like to make sure that post-course progression is somewhat under control, so that there could be a safe development of the skills. One of the things is passenger size and weight. I recommend that the passenger size and weight should not be increased until the tandem instructor has demonstrated consistent, stable exits, stability and heading control during drogue fall, and soft on-target landings. So once the tandem instructor has demonstrated this, then it's okay to go ahead and start adding weight. That way, it's done as safe as possible. Another thing, if the tandem instructor is demonstrating difficulty on exit and free fall, on landings, whatever it may be, they should try to get paired up with a videographer on as many jumps as they can, so that we can be able to see and debrief what is happening during those jumps. And that would be to have their lead examiner or the the drop zone, the chief instructor, or so that they can start working and developing those skills. A lot of times people get scared during this progression, and what happens is they leave. They stop being tandem instructors, and that's unfortunate because if they can get over the hump, then they could potentially be a huge contribution to the sport. So getting over that is important. Another big thing is tandem instructors should not change procedures as they were taught originally from their examiner. There's a lot of different things that are told to new examiners. This is how you should do that, or this is a better way, and so forth. And changing standard operating procedures would be a serious thing that shouldn't be taken lightly. That should always come back to their lead examiner if they're getting information that's contradictory to what they were taught in course. So, and then also for landing, jumping in high winds is not recommended until the tandem instructor has demonstrated on-target landings. An increase in wind limits should be done at a pace that allows for proper development of canopy skills. So it's recommended that a new tandem instructor stick to wind limits, so 15 miles an hour, 14, 15 miles an hour, until they've demonstrated good accuracy. So that's another thing that I highly recommend is a development under canopy. Okay, so in closing, I just want you guys to take away the importance of planning. Planning if you want to take on the tandem instructor course, planning in advance, preparing physically, mentally. We talked about EPs, and also working and learning from the drop zone that allows a safe progression. So being on the drop zone, watching other tandem instructors, seeing how they're gearing up students, a lot of the same things that you need to do in advance of your AFF instructor course or static line instructor course, the same thing. Just be at the drop zone, be present, be watching other people do the job. Understand the importance of a good, safe culture at the drop zone, and also having proper mentorship, which I've been talking about here. And then this is in regards to all new instructors, not larger or smaller or taller or female or male or anything like that. It's not really a gender thing in this case, or size. A healthy progression or having the opportunity to learn and develop your tandem skills is important to all new tandem instructors. So, yep. Any questions? Okay. No questions? Okay. Sure.
Do all the USPA tandem instructor examiners have to go on the front of their students? Because it was you, wasn't it, on the front of that lady? Is that the rule? Does that have to happen, or can you take a licensed skydiver?
There is a progression that includes an experienced tandem instructor and/or examiner on the front, and then it progresses to licensed jumper, which is a little bit different than how you guys run it here. Yeah. So, cool. Yes.
Is there any bridge or kind of crossover between USPA and British skydiving as for the ratings?
That is a question for Kate, and also I think, and we've got some tandem examiners in the room as well. So that would be a question, because that's out of my my understanding or my knowledge base.
So you'll have to repeat the question. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Yeah, is there kind of a bridge between the rating systems under USPA and British skydiving?
Sorry, a conversion.
Conversion, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a system that allows us to convert any foreign instructional ratings. So in order to do tandem or AFF or any form of instructional tuition here in the UK, if you hold a foreign instructor rating, you have to convert it across to British skydiving rating, and then you can actually instruct in the UK. So we have a system that allows to convert that, yes.
I think on that point as well though, Jeff, I think the jump number requirements are different, UK and USPA, so I assume, I know this one is tandem specific, but I assume it's fewer jumps for AFF in the US, I think, than the UK. So I guess you would have to satisfy all the British skydiving.
Yes, so our requirements are slightly higher than the USPA. So when they arrive in the UK and they want to convert their rating, they have to meet our minimum requirements, yeah, and then on top of that they have some extra stuff to do, and then they also have to have a minimum. So for example, Tandem and AFF, they must have a minimum of 100 instructional descents using their foreign rating before they can convert to ours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.